Hello, everybody. I hope your evening and your week is going well. This is Lamar K. Ward with the It's Possible radio show. We would like to thank our sponsors, Dream Builders University, Inc. Tonight we have a great guest. This guest is a friend, a brother, somebody whom I love dearly, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to do life with him and his family, to do business with him and his family, and it's awesome. So I want to welcome Mr. Antonio Broadnax to the show, everybody.
Hey, thank you. Hopefully everybody's doing well.
All right.
Appreciate you having me.
We got a little aching pride in here.
Yep, swoop.
Uh-oh, swoop.
Swoop
There it is. Swoop 90 what?
It's 97.
Swoop 97. Yeah, for all of our Aiken grads out there, we hope we are making you proud, and because we definitely do bleed purple, gold, and white. Tonight, our focus will be about vision. How many of you all have big dreams? How many of you all are aspiring to do things bigger and better, or just simply just trying to aspire to do something? I always like to start with a couple Bible verses, and the first Bible verse that I want to start with today is Matthew 7:7 and 8. I share the same Bible verse every week. It is my hope and my prayer that it becomes a part of your DNA. And it just says, keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find. Keep knocking and the door will be open to you. For everyone who seeks receives, everyone who seeks finds, and everyone who knocks, the door will be open. Therefore, we should ask specifically for the breakthrough that we need. And so, in essence, whatever point or stage and age you are, or point in the game you are at, in the faith or in business or in life, my challenge for you is we've come too far for you to get shy now about what you want from God.
Amen.
Amen?
Amen to that.
Amen. The scriptures tell us that for us to come boldly, for us to make our requests known to God. And so we need to get in the habit of bringing that request to Him. If it is a righteous desire, to keep knocking at the door of humanity, so then you can deliver your full potential to the world. Again, the world doesn't work right without you. We need you. And every day that you hit the pause button on your potential, you are robbing humanity blind. And my feelings are hurt. And so is somebody else's that you don't even know. Mr. Broadnax, tell us a little bit about yourself before I get on the road here.
Well, I'm Cincinnati native. Like I said, CPS graduate. 2 daughters married. Just out here trying to make a difference in the world. I feel like you said, I have a purpose, and if I don't, walk in my purpose, then I'm letting somebody down. So I constantly try to walk in that purpose and do what I'm supposed to do, so that the people behind me can do what they need to do.
But what's that like? I know you've had to overcome a lot of challenges. We've been partners in overcoming some of those challenges. Like, take us back to, how did you become the man you are? What type of challenges life just coming up as a young guy in Cincinnati Public Schools?
Well, growing up for me, it was tough. I used to say I was that kid that was smiling. My smile would hide a lot of the hurt that I was going through. I had a lot of things going on at home that I was dealing with, with my parents, and just trying to, I was going down the wrong path. And for me, the shift began when I started to see my younger siblings following my footsteps.
Wow.
And I didn't want that. I noticed my brother was going down the path that I was going, and he was doing it at a higher level. So in my mind, it was like I have to make that shift because I was the example, and a lot of us don't realize that we are the example. Somebody's always watching you. And for me, when I seen them making that bad shift, I said, all right, I have to 180 this and go the opposite direction because I'm the example, and I don't want them to. Because everybody knows your siblings are going to try to outdo you. So if you're bad, they're going to try to be a lot worse. and that's what was happening. So, I shifted the way that I thought, even though my situation wasn't the best. I said it was a perspective thing. I had to look at it at a different perspective and say, it's not what it is, but how can I make it what I want it to be? And that's when it began.
Yeah, so now, as a lot of people know, we played basketball together.
Right.
One of the greatest teams in Aiken school history.
Swoop it is,
And then you didn't go to college and play basketball. I went to college and played basketball. You went to college and played football. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
So for me, I was always a multi-sport athlete. It was time to make a decision. I always thought I was better at football than basketball anyway, even though I was, I think, pretty decent at basketball. It was just time for me I was aggressive. To be honest with you, football for me was my outlet. Well, what better place for a kid that's angry and aggressive to get that anger and aggressive out in the right way, right? So football for me was a better outlet than basketball because I can go out there and punish people in between the lines, right? So it was more of a release and a better outlet for me. So, that's how football happened for me. And I didn't actually go to college and for football straight out of high school. I had to sit out a year because my grades weren't the best.
Okay, all right.
So I actually took a year off and I went and became a student first and got my grades up, and then I transferred and played football.
Okay.
So it was like challenges, but we talk about, the vision. I always wanted to play sports, so that vision never changed. But I think for me, the biggest thing is I always like to say when I'm talking to young kids is that really, if you don't have strong faith, then your vision is purposeless. You got to have faith to have a strong vision. They go hand in hand, is what I believe.
So you sat out the first year, then you went to college.
Yep.
And where did you go to college at?
I ended up going. I went my first year. I went to Central State, and then I transferred to a small college called Wilmington College.
All right. So then Wilmington, what happened? How did that go for you?
Wilmington was excellent, man. I loved it. It was different for me. I got to experience new things. I'm a city boy, and I went to school with a bunch of country guys. Some of my closest friends in the world are farm boys. It was totally different for me. Right. So it allowed me to step also outside my comfort zone and experience new things. But I went to college. I played 4 years, and just I dominated, man, because it was just my mindset was that everything I did was for a purpose. So me playing football was not just for me. It was my mindset. Like I said, I grew up in a tough situation, so I wanted to make a change for my parents. I wanted to be able to give them the things that we never had, give my brothers and sisters the things. So it was never really about me. So my vision was to, if I can get to the next level, then I'm going to be able to help my mother, help my father, help my brother, my sister. So it was everything I've ever done was always been purpose driven.
So your vision was always bigger than you.
Always bigger than me, yeah. And always, to be honest with you, because sometimes it would become points where it's just you have to make it about somebody else in order to keep pushing through sometimes. Because we'll give up on ourselves before we give up on somebody else.
That's right. That's right. And so when you were at Wilmington College and you're playing football, you really did it big. What was starting to happen while you were there? I know you. Listen, y'all, I'm gonna have to pull this out of him because he would never say it. But go ahead.
I just worked. It was a small school, so we didn't have the top trainers. So we just had. I was always putting in work. The off hours. It was just my goal was just to be the best. I think it started at Aiken. Honestly, our senior year, we were pushed to our maximum, and that just carried over. So I worked hard, and I constantly worked hard. And when I wanted to give up, I would always think that if I gave up, I'm going back to what I don't want to go back to.
So you had a fear.
Yeah. The fear of just not fear of failure. Honestly.
Yeah.
And it lit my fuel, and I've always been a person that I push myself to the max, to the limit, and then once I get there, I keep pushing further.
All right. So when you were there, your senior year, everything's going well. Tell us about that.
So my senior year, actually, all 4 years I did great. All-American, first team All-American. I never talk about these accolades because for me, anybody that ever played sports or played football with me, they know I'm always in the moment. I never brag about it. I just let my skill set speak for themselves. But I worked out for a lot of teams. I worked out for Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis. We had a Bledsoe scout come in. It was just this is my exact words to me was, why are you at this school? Why are you not at a bigger school?
Right.
And to me, it was just like, I'm just walking in my purpose. But I worked out. I did what I was supposed to do. I had 2 games to graduate. I was in my senior year. I only had 2 games left, and I had a career-ending injury. I had a compound fracture, which, pretty much ended my career as far as football-wise. So I thought, blew out all the cartilage in my ankle, and it was just devastating, guys, because it's like, imagine everything that you push and work for comes to an end.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, I always thought to myself, this was just a vehicle, because I wasn't always the best of students. But guess what? Along the journey, because I knew that I had to be eligible to play football, I got a degree.
Amen.
So, so it came with it, and then, you know, I understood the power behind it. Sometimes we have to do the things we don't want to get the things that we want, and then we end up realizing, like, man, it all works out in the end, you know. So I end up not, you know, going pro, of course. Played in Spain. I had a good time in Spain. You know, we played some ball over in Spain. But for me, after football, it was like, okay, what's the next vehicle? Because I always say that if you have a vision, right, the vision and the goal never changes, but the vehicle may. And football was just one vehicle.
Say that again, though. I think the people can use another dose of that. Because, and let me tell you why. Because as humans, we don't pivot well.
Right.
We don't transition well. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we get comfortable, and God is saying, no, that was just a season.
Yeah.
And you got to get over here, because God wants you to take those principles and that insight that He's taught you in the one vehicle and then move it over here so you can be even more effective. And the only reason why He gave you the first vehicle so you can get some practice at a ground level, so when you go to the next vehicle, you can already be experienced with that thing.
Listen, I'm a firm believer that the things that happen to you happen for you. You know. So, and that's why I say the vehicle, you know, football was just a vehicle. It taught me discipline, right? It taught me hard work. And guess what? The next vehicle was entrepreneurship, which you need to have discipline. You need to have hard work. You have to have, you know, be able to press through.
Amen. Man, this is good. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys don't know, I'm sitting here right now with Mr. Antonio Broadnax. I forgot to tell y'all, he's also the president of Success Built on Vision, and now he also is a new author. He's written his first book. It's not here yet, but it's coming. And what's the name of the book?
It's called The Invisipack.
And what is it about? Tell me a little bit about it.
So I'm a firm believer that we all are creative individuals, right? So The Invisipack, when I wrote this book for young children, is really to help stimulate their minds to be creative on problem solving. You know, it's about an Invisipack, but it's really about their imagination, how they can use their imagination to solve problems and get through certain situations. So that's what it's really about, and it gives them certain skill sets in the books, and it talks about just ways to, you know, overcome and work through situations.
But give me a little bit more. Like, give me one example. What is some of the stuff you're trying to teach to the book?
So in the book,
I mean, the people need to know.
Yeah, in the book, there's situations like we have a situation where a young lady's being bullied, right? And not to give too much away because the book is just awesome, but
they gonna buy the book. Everybody listening gonna buy the book. Man.
No, it's not about the. The young kid, you know, she works through a situation where the bully is bullying her, and the reason that the young girl's bullying her is because she's new to the school.
Right.
And she this is her only way of, she feels like, to make friends. She's uncomfortable. She had to leave her friends. So the young lady that's being bullied has a conversation like, why do you do this? And once she finds out, like, hey, well, if I had to move from my hometown too to a new situation, I probably feel the same type of way. Right. You know, so things like bullying, there's a situation where there's classmates that are not helping on the project. And it's like, man, how can I get these guys to help out? I'm going crazy over here. And it's just like assigning them different tasks, pulling out the best in those kids so that they can feel like they're part of the project. You know, so it's just really equipping them with different tools to be better, using your imagination, to be creative on problem solving.
Man, you know what's so crazy about that is yesterday, the other day, my neighbor, his car was in the shop. And so he's like, hey, LaMarca, can you take me to pick up my daughter at 4 o'clock? I was like, sure, man. So I did that 2 days this week and go pick up his daughter. But on the last day, I was listening to these tapes by Dr. Kevin Elko. And he has this saying where he talks about be where your feet are, right? And so in one of them, then he transitions out of that and he talks about being able to recognize emotional beings. And so his daughter got in the car and she was like, I said, how was your day? You know, did you argue with anybody today? Because, you know, you got girls, they always fussing, right? And she was like, this one girl, she should have been practicing, but she was over there, you know, talking to me, and I'm like, I'm trying to run, because she had track practice.
Right.
And she was like, well, you throw the shot put, but she was like, the coach ain't over there. She said, I looked over there, and the coach was over there teaching them how to throw the shot. And she over here talking to me. And she was like, it was just so annoying. But she's like my friend, but it was just annoying at the time.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? Let me go back and rewind this CD. And so I rewinded the CD and let her listen to the part where it talks about emotional bids, where people could be clingy, because she said she was clingy, or kids' behavior may be disruptive, or they may, it shows up in different forms, but really it's a void inside of them, and it's really an emotional bid that they need some help or support, or they want some validation in the area. So once she heard it, and me and her dad talked to her about it, she just didn't know. Right. She's an 8th grader at the school, but she just didn't know that it really was an emotional bid, and that young lady just wanted validation. And what I can imagine, and so in your book, what you were teaching them to do is to learn how to heal humanity at a younger age, to be more concerned. Stephen Covey gets the credit, but he didn't invent it. It was an old wise saying. It says, first seek to understand versus to be understood. And in that context, with the bid and all of that, I'm excited for the book, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I think, just it's creating a conversation, even with adults, man. Once you create that conversation, you get that understanding.
Yeah.
Like you said, we do tend to put ourselves in a state where it's like about me. And sometimes you have to just step back and say, all right, let me just listen for a moment.
Yeah.
Because then you'll find out what that is.
I mean, even now, man, I had teenagers, my teenagers, they're not perfect, far from it, right? They be, I be ready to lay hands on them, and they ain't always holy, right? We might get to the oil and they're laying the holy hands afterwards,
right?
But all the time, it ain't. But I mean, at the end of the day, equipping them, even from that context, what I'm learning is they may be, going through something that I probably need to be more concerned about, versus just trying to get them to do all the time what I say.
Yeah. And the thing too is, man, I think, and we had this conversation a lot, is even though we may not agree, if we just listen, that's critical.
Yeah.
I may not agree with half the things my daughter says, but if I just listen, that's probably all she wanted me to do was listen.
And that's not as easy to do, because we are already playing chess in our head. Yeah, we already know, but we still got to go through their process with that, because we've already been through the process. Yeah. I'm excited about the book. I got another couple Bible verses that I want to share with y'all. Y'all know I'm a preacher. I lead Cincinnati Urban Ministry Outreach. We meet at the Millville Community Center. We preach the good news, the gospel, unfiltered. We encourage, we inspire. You can get rebukes, and you can all get hugged in a meal, all at the same place on a Sunday morning. If you come to Cincinnati Urban Ministry Outreach, called Kuma, we meet at the Millville Recreation Center. One lady told me, she said, it's hard to come here. You can't hide. You preaching, you can't hide. In Proverbs 29:18, everybody, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. And so, in context, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish, but happy is he that keeps the law. And the law translates into the teachings, if you really look at that thing. And so, do you keep the teachings, the Torah, the Word of God? And that person who does that, they shall be happy. And I believe that with my whole heart. But then an NIV translation is a little bit different, Brother Broadnax. It says, when people do not accept divine guidance, they run wild. But whoever obeys the law is joyful. Right? So then you could go to another one. It says, where there's no prophetic vision, in the English Standard Version, where there's no prophetic vision, the people cast off restraint, but blessed is he who keeps the law. Right? Then you get to the NSAB version, the New American Standard Version. It says, where there is no vision, the people are unrestrained, but happy is he who keeps the law. And so what I found here is that where there is no vision, no dream, nothing to pursue, it's scientifically impossible for you to get discipline, life order. And so if you don't have a dream, your company's success built right on vision. My company, Dream Builders University, where we focus on inspiring other people, because what we're asking from people and expecting from them It's an unrealistic expectation if they don't have a dream or a vision to justify the pain of the change process.
Yeah. That's why the motto for success built on vision is dream it, plan it, live it.
Amen. Talk about that a little bit.
So, it's just the vision, like I said, because if you dream it, the dream, it starts with the dream, right?
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. It's all good, but you got to put the plan together.
Yeah.
And once you put the plan together, now you start working towards it, right?
Yeah.
And then as you're working toward it, you're living it.
Yeah.
People don't realize that I want to run my own business. But guess what? As you're building that business, you're living it. That's part of the process, right? So, and that's why I say the vehicles may change. It may change, but you're still pushing. You're still pushing towards that end goal, that vision. And it's just powerful. But that's why I say faith and vision have to be tied hand in hand. Because guess what? There are going to be obstacles. And if you don't have any faith, you're going to sway from the vision anyway. So that's why you have to have that strong faith.
Wow. And you have to be coming from that place of conviction. I know Samuel, he went to Eli, he heard the voice. He said, "Did you call me?" Eli was like, "No, I didn't." He went back, he said, "All right, I'll go back and lay down." He said it again. He hear a voice, "Samuel." Right? Who am I talking to right now, right? Antonio, Sarah, whoever you may be. He goes to Eli. Eli said, "I didn't call you." He said, if you hear that voice again, say, "Here I am, Lord." 1 Samuel, check it out. He goes back, he says, "Here I am, Lord." Now here's what it says, and right in verse 7, in 1 Samuel chapter 3, check it out. It said that Samuel did not know the word of the Lord yet. Now what's crazy about that is Samuel was raised in the temple. He was Eli's servant in the temple. So how was he a servant in the temple and didn't know the word of the Lord? Come on, somebody. And so as a parent, we got to get this. And when I got this with my son when he was a teenager, it blew me away because I was expecting my son to give me something that he couldn't give me because he hadn't heard from heaven yet. So what they do is they imitate you. So if your life ain't right, they imitate you. If those negative seeds that are planted in them, they imitate their culture, the people that surround them. They are struggling on the inside because they want to discover purpose, but they haven't discovered purpose. And then even if the parents are living righteous and holy, they go to school with people who are not righteous and holy. And then now your kids are in a war for their life.
Right.
And so Samuel talked to the Lord. And then if you get to the end, it said, Eli came to him and he said, "Tell me." He didn't say, "Tell me what he told you." He said, "Tell me the vision." Go read it. I promise. And so the dilemma here is we have a lot of people on planet Earth who are walking around being told that they need to go do a job, but in reality, they need to go hear from heaven. And when you hear from heaven, it unlocks all your potential. It justifies the pain of the change process. And now you become courageous, you become bold, you become everything you were intended to be because you know where you're headed.
Walking your purpose.
You're walking in your purpose. Man, this is good, man.
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel the presence of the Lord up in this place. And so another Bible verse that we can get, is Habakkuk 2:2. Then the Lord replied, "Write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that the herald may run with it." And so dream it, plan it, live it. Come on.
There it is.
Dream it, plan it, live it. You got to write it down. When you write it down, it becomes a contract between you and the universe. You owe us. You owe us. I'm talking to you. You're sitting in your car. You're watching on Facebook right now. You owe us. You see my face changed if you can see us? I mean business right now. You owe us. God, the creator of the universe, he doesn't make any junk. You're not junk. You're precious. You're brilliant. You're a genius. We need you. But you got to own it. I dare somebody to write down a plan tonight. I dare you to get home and look at your spouse and say, when was the last time we wrote down our dreams? I dare you to sit down with your kids tonight and say, what do you want to be in this world? Sit down and pray with them and say, have you heard from heaven yet? This is good news. What you think about this, Mr. B?
That's one of them, just wow.
This is good. I got a quote from my book, Competing as a Lifestyle, You versus You, A Student's Guide to Greatness. A student is nothing but a disciple. Some of you adults need to go get that book. And the quote goes like this: the right dream, a big enough dream, can be a sedative to the pain and disappointment of the journey of life. The right dream, a big enough dream, can become a sedative or a painkiller to the pain and disappointment of the journey of life. I promise you, pain and disappointment is going to come, but your purpose, your inspiration, and inspiration in essence just means God breathed. So when you hear from heaven, when you hear the prophetic voice, now God breathed, and all the life that has been laying dormant in you has to come up and say, hey, I'm going to, go out there and reach my full potential and impact planet Earth. Man, this is good. You want to add anything to this, Brother Broadnax?
Wow.
Man, listen, I'm so excited. I'm amazed at what the Lord can do. People think that it's super deep, it's practical, but we just got to learn how to master the mundane, get down into the trenches with ourselves. We want to get down into the trenches with everybody else. Get down in the trenches with yourself, right? Whose voice are you listening to? Is it a negative voice versus a positive voice? What about your circle? If you got 5 broke friends or 5 friends who aren't headed anywhere, you know that they not doing the same thing or headed in the direction where you want to go. When are you going to get the courage to say, I need to get me some new friends, or I'm going to just sit down with Jesus and it'll just be us until we make it? Wow. Listen, Cincinnati people all over the world, I know friends who watch the show on Facebook Live. When you going to quit making excuses? When you going to quit making the excuses? We believe in you. I'm fully convinced that it's in you. And the reason why I'm doing this radio show is because I believe in the manufacturer's guarantee on your life. And I believe I'm called. If I've never said that on the show, yes, I'm a pastor, but I believe that I'm called through this radio show to inspire people, to bring people on like Mr. Broadnax so we can move people together and make a difference through this show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a good time.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anything you want to close us out with, Mr. B?
I appreciate you, allowing me to come on the show. Get you guys a pre-order of the Invisipack. Go to the invisipack.com. It's the #invisipack.com.
And so everybody, as we get ready to close tonight, thank you all for listening, and remember, embrace where you are, because everyone starts somewhere. God bless y'all.